Hana is a former corporate lawyer who worked on Wall Street in New York, as well as in London and Dubai. She has an MBA from the Rotman School of Management and an honor bachelor degree in psychology from the University of Toronto. She transitioned from corporate law to become an executive coach for corporate professionals looking to achieve breakthroughs in their careers. As that is so much aligned with my mission, even though I'm not specialized in corporate because I'm a surgeon, I'm specialized in helping doctors, nurses with career changes and total life resets. And that's my mission, is to save 1 million lives from burnout. But still, I think we probably have a lot in common with what we see in our clients and what their issues are. And I'm very curious to hear from you. Why did you make this transition? Please tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my story, because I do think it's a story that so many women are also experiencing. My transition was prompted by a need. I would even go so far as to say there was a crisis that I was noticing and personally experiencing in the corporate world, where very talented, very smart, women in particular, but minorities in general, were facing a high degree of cognitive load, a burden, I would say, between the work they were trying to produce and the identity they were trying to assume, that wasn't necessarily in keeping with who they are. So when you go to work and you are overly conscious of the way you present, or you are experiencing microaggressions in the workplace because people are relating to you in a way that you don't feel comfortable with, or you don't fit in with, or you don't have mentors or sponsors or people around you who reflect your background and experiences, you tend to carry with you a certain weight around, how do I establish rapport? How do I become one of the group? How do we establish community? And when you're actively trying to do that, just to fit in, to function, to indicate that you are one of the team, while you are also trying to produce high quality work, it takes twice as much effort. And in terms of your energy levels, that can start to decline over time, because you are constantly fighting an uphill battle. And so my reason for transitioning was that I was noticing my colleagues were coming to my office more for personal advice on how to succeed in the workplace than they were for legal advice after a certain point. So I thought, look, I could be a good lawyer, but I could be a great something else. How can I help in a bigger way? And that's where the transition came from.
That is fantastic. It just shows you, if people come to you for advice, that's your natural gift, that's your natural talent showing up there. That's part of how I help my clients find their life purpose. That's one of the questions. What do people naturally come to you for help with? That's what everybody sees you're good at. So yeah, I love that you brought that up. I have a few questions though, because when you first said it's a problem for women and minorities, I do understand in some work environments, the women are in the minority and maybe they try and act like the boys. Is that what you mean? Like they have to like shove away their femininity and like act like the guys in the hope to belong. But at the same time, they're very talented at other things than men, and then maybe they're underusing those female skills, which is a pity. I mean, I definitely have seen that. Sometimes I was in training as a female amongst the big boys club, and I even heard them say behind our backs, don't tell the girls because we don't want them to be as clever as us. So they were actively holding females back from information so that they couldn't shine. So, I mean, I've experienced that myself. Luckily, this is already 20, 30 years ago, and things might have improved a lot. I don't feel it as much now in the UK, where there's a lot of equality from my viewpoint. But I mean, I can be completely wrong because I can only see through my eyes and my experiences. So, and you're talking from your experience. So I want to hear a little bit more how that manifested in a workplace, like for yourself and for others, the equality.
Sure.
Inequality.
I do think that on an intellectual level, women are given a similar opportunity as men to express themselves in meetings and to come to the table with ideas. The issue is that so much of your progression in the corporate world is based on relationships. So I've been working, for example, with 2 or 3 young associates in law firms. And I'll tell you about there's 2 experiences that come to mind. The first one is with a young woman who is not comfortable going to bars after work with the mid-level associates and the partners who are men to go and watch the game over a glass of beer. But she does want to be able to establish relationships, rapport, and a connection with her superiors so they can continue to mentor her, so she can be in the room with them when they're discussing the next file, the next case, and so that she's welcome and feels part of the team. But because she's not comfortable with these typically male types of socializing and interactions, she feels quite left out. And so on the one hand, she struggles between the impetus to adopt a male mentality and male social behaviors in order to fit in, and also wanting to still maintain her integrity, her personality, and her authenticity in the workplace around being, a more feminine presence. She also struggles with the idea of being over-sexualized. So there are times when she's not sure whether it would be appropriate in a meeting with all men, whether wearing a skirt is okay, whether putting makeup on is okay, because she doesn't want to look too pretty and over identify as a female in a room full of men. But she's towing the balance between wanting to just be herself, but also shying away from being over sexualized in the workplace, which is an issue for women in general.
Yes.
On the flip side, there was another woman I worked with who currently just underwent a performance review with a junior partner who's also a woman, who said to her that her path to partnership would be impaired because she has typically feminine traits that she exhibits. She's a little more quiet, soft-spoken, a little shyer. She has like a sweet voice that's a little more high-pitched. These are just naturally her characteristics, but she's being told that she will be systematically excluded, even at this junior level, from the possibility of promotion because she doesn't emulate typically male characteristics. That is concerning to me.
Yes, that is very concerning. Wow. That is shocking. Absolutely shocking. That would not be a work environment I would feel appreciated at all.
Correct.
Wow.
You either essentially take the path toward making yourself invisible, or you stand out in a way that attracts certain kinds of attention you don't want. So where do you find your balance? And that's really the tricky part.
It is very, very tricky. And we all have different personalities. Because I grew up with brothers, for instance, I had no problems going to a sports bar with men and having a beer. And I think that's a skill that came in useful for me to fit in most environments. But not everybody has that background. So it's very uncomfortable for other people, I understand. Sometimes maybe you have to, is it worthwhile for the relationships? I don't think it's really that much to ask. For me as a person, but I don't know, the other people are different, of course. This is a really tough one. And you, of course, are an expert in the field because you've been in that environment. So what advice do you give people when they are in that situation?
In those situations, I give 3 pieces of core advice. The first is mindset. When you go into a workplace and you're trying to establish yourself, you need to understand that you are in control of the reality that's being created around you. If you want to be taken seriously as an authority on a professional level, present as such. Expect to be treated with respect. Treat yourself with respect, and others will follow suit. I've often found that in the same workplace, 2 women of equal stature in terms of their level of seniority, similar build, similar habits and behaviors will command 2 totally different responses on the basis of the way they go in expecting to be treated. And so if you can adjust your mindset to command authority and self-respect, then others will treat you the way you allow them to. And so with a lot of women, I think it comes down to self-confidence and self-esteem. And so the primary work I do is we work on mindset. We work on shifting to a place of power instead of a place of fear of being victimized or fear of being left out or mistaken. And I also invite them to look at any interaction as a teaching and a learning opportunity. Here's a way for you to learn how this environment works, and here's a way for you to teach others how you expect to be treated. And you can do that in a professional way that's respectful, it's not aggressive, but you also don't want to be overly timid because you need to teach. Not everybody knows how you expect to be treated. And the more guidance you can offer, the easier those interactions become. You've got to be able to step outside your comfort zone sometimes to just assert yourself in a professional way.
Absolutely.
So that's the first thing. Yeah, the second thing I tell them is you absolutely need to build your alliances. So find the one or two people you naturally have a rapport with in the workplace and build a network through that. And if it is with, say, a junior associate or a mid-level who is a guy, all the better. Because if they understand you and you have a rapport there, they can also invite you to the outings that they are invited to. If you're not naturally the person who's getting the invitation firsthand, find a way to build the network so you can get the second or third hand invitation and slowly build that way. You don't want to marginalize yourself. You want to proactively engage.
Yeah, absolutely. That's gold. All right, and the question I had for you escaped me just now. It was on your first point. It stirred up so much of things that I do with my clients about basically respecting yourself first, because people sense it. If you have low self-esteem, everybody will sense it and they will not treat you well. So you really have to go in and do a lot of self-love and self-care. That's what I teach people also. You are important. Take really good care of yourself. Learn to say no, and give yourself priority. And that's things that I also teach my clients. So that is very, very important, because you exude what you think about yourself. You can't really fake it, in my opinion. I mean, you can learn the power pose and you can dress for success for sure. It's helpful. But yeah, that is really important to build their self-esteem so that they can really show up powerful in the workplace. I love that. Do you also have your clients do a manifestation, or I would do a visualization on how I would like my workplace to be and how I would like people to interact with me, and do a visualization and just try and manifest it. I try and manifest every day as I drive to work how I want my day to be like. And you know what? The days that I forget to do it, they're a lot tougher, because I feel like I didn't put my manifesting powers out there, and then chaos just happens to me because I didn't create it myself. Yeah, that's gold. Thank you so much for that. So you addressed two important points. Have you had any experience with any of your clients and burnout, or how does that happen? Because you mentioned your energy levels drop. If you try and be something that you're really not, I think it's very draining. I always teach my clients to just align with who you really are. I teach them to align their body, mind, and soul to who they're being, their true self, because I think that makes you so much more powerful. And if you have a soft voice, I mean, maybe it is because they don't have the self-esteem yet to speak up. And that needs to be addressed, because they might have had a traumatic experience in the past where somebody said, we don't want to hear you, be quiet, or whatever. That is really powerful stuff if you can go there and heal that part in the past so that people can shine more in the present. Yeah, I love that. So coming back to burnout, have you seen it in any of your clients, or have you got any?
Certainly. Yeah, I've got personal experience with it, I have to say, simply because I was doing exactly what you mentioned. I was trying in a very male-dominated corporate environment to be something that I wasn't. So I'm a naturally very empathic, intelligent, proactive person who was asked to be quiet, to be invisible, who was asked to diminish the elements of me that make me stand out and are unique in order to fit in. And I thought that the more I could mirror the people around me, the less individuality that I could exhibit, the more I would fit in. But what it did was it took enormous amounts of energy to self-censor every minute of the day. And it is such a powerful thing when you can step in to your authentic self, when you can be fully present, mind, body, soul, with everything that you are. because what comes out of you is essentially that energy that we draw from the universe around us that flows through us. It's an incredibly powerful force because it's energy that you don't have to work at replenishing. There's an endless supply of energy to be you.
Yeah.
There is a limited supply of the energy that you have to be someone else.
Absolutely.
So if you want to stave off burnout and if you want to recover from it, my recommendation is always to engage in an exercise of what I like to call energy regulation. What this means is that each day we have normal periods where we will peak in our energy and output levels and periods in the day where we will start to diminish. It's really important to keep track of when that happens. Because if you know that, say, mid-afternoon, you start to go into a period of withdrawal where you need to recharge, if you try and push through that and you schedule intense exercises and meetings and work projects to be done in that time, you are on the fast track to getting sick, to burning out, to feeling unhappy. But if you can be mindful of your own energy regulations in the day and in the week, you can plan your schedule accordingly. It's also very important in those times in the day where you're starting to dip in your energy to find renewal sources. And what that means is that if drinking water, going for a walk, taking a coffee break, just doing some deep breathing is what recharges you, put that into the day and protect that time. Because in the end, you don't want to see such big peaks in energy and such big drops. You want to try and modulate it. So you want to try and maximize your productivity in the peaks, and you want to engage in recharging exercises in the dips. So I help my clients to track this type of energy fluctuations and to start learning exercises for regulating them. And their productivity increases, they are sick less, they enjoy their vacations, they sleep better, better relationships. It's meant to help them with their career, but it turns out to transform their whole life, which is great.
That is so awesome. Yes, I'm very aware of the peaks and troughs we go through. And if I would be more in control of what I do, what time of the day, I would know how to do it. Currently, though, I work for a big system where other people decide what I do and when I do it. So it is tough sometimes, especially those afternoons. I do have my watch that tells me to do some deep breathing, so I do appreciate that.
Good.
I love to go for a walk. Like if I have a lunch break, which is rare, I like to go outside and get some fresh air and get my blood flowing. Those are the things that really help me. And then, a little afternoon snack for a little bit of an energy boost helps too. But ideally, you want to do the high input efforts in the morning, and in the afternoon. I think it would be nicer for me to do maybe just some administration without too much contact with others, or some more creative or some planning, that something more that's not so energy consuming. That sounds great. Fantastic. So you told me that you also building a course, an online course, is it? That's coming out next year. It's called CEO Mindset. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the course is called the CEO Mindset, How to Achieve Breakthroughs in Your Career and Boost Confidence. Essentially, I think that what I've noticed working with professionals at each stage of their career, so whether they're entry level, mid-level, senior executive, or already in the C-suite, there are common issues that prevent individuals from achieving and maximizing their potential. So if you are somebody who's naturally quite successful in general, my thought, similar to the way Olympic athletes do it, there's always better. There's always a way we can optimize our systems, create efficiencies, and improve our output and performance. And so even at the highest level, it's interesting, when people get the message here, what they realize is that no matter how well you're doing, you can always level up. And the people who level up sooner have a competitive edge. And so what I'm trying to teach people how to do, even from the level of being students before they graduate, is help people come to a state of awareness around what their natural skill sets are and how to leverage those. And then to look at the places where they need to sort of fill in the gaps. So the course is almost 3 parts. The first has to do with the mindset. So are you positioned internally to attract and to manifest the type of success you want?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, let's get rid of those limiting beliefs. Let's get rid of the negative emotions that are sitting there holding you back. And I use NLP and hypnotherapy techniques, and I teach people how they can do that. Use those techniques to do exactly what you were talking about: smart goal setting, visualization, and releasing anything that's limiting or blocking their path forward.
Mm-hmm.
Stage 2 is really, really goal setting and visualization. Why this is so important is that if you were to skip the first step and go straight to goal setting, you wouldn't dream for yourself the life you truly deserve, because you would be infusing it with all of those blockages, all of those limiting beliefs. So this is your opportunity to clear that out of the way and set goals, not just for the next stage of your career, but what do you really want in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years?
Yeah.
And then what I teach you to do is to reverse engineer the results.
Yeah.
So if you know where you're heading in 15 years, in 10 years, in 5 years, how do we backtrack from that end goal to today and take the immediate next first step?
Mm-hmm.
So what small, measurable, incremental targets can we set along the way that are super achievable and super simple for you to achieve? And my clients notice breakthrough results with that. There's usually this paralysis, like, I have these big dreams, I don't know how to get there, so I'm not even going to try. Yeah. This helps you break through that and take the next step. And then the last part is measurability. This one is really key. So oftentimes I'll have people or clients who have gone to, say, a therapist to clear their, negative emotions. And then they've gone to a career coach or a life coach to set goals. And then they leave and they have no idea whether any of it worked. What's beautiful about the course I'm designing is I teach you how to measure the results. And I teach you how to quantify how well it's working. And I created a feedback mechanism for you to look and self-monitor so that you can tell yourself, okay, look, today I've been emotionally in a great place, but physically I'm not feeling well, or physically in a good place, but financially I'm not well. So we look at physical, emotional, mental, financial, and spiritual, actually. And on all 5 metrics, you have to kind of constantly track where you are. Again, this is part of the regulation. If you know that you've been for the last 3 weeks emotionally imbalanced, but you're doing well financially and physically, that will not be sustainable. Exactly. If you know that you've physically been low, but you financially and emotionally are fine, good luck, that's not sustainable. Unless all 5 metrics, physical, mental, emotional, financial, spiritual, are all in alignment, that is where your breakthroughs become sustainable. And that's where you start to see incremental achievement instead of linear. And so I think that if I can teach people to do this, this is going to save you so much time, money, pain down the road. It's worth the investment.
I love that so much, because I used 6 parts in the wheel of life, and relationships is one of them that I also focus on, because people who are like overwhelmed and trying to perform at high level, it's good to have their support system on board. Then you don't have to do everything yourself. So that's one aspect that I also work on, but I'm very much teaching my clients the same as you. That's awesome. So I think you would be a great asset to when we do our Burnout Summit in the future to be a speaker.
I would love to be part of that. I would love that. Thank you.
So lastly, how can people contact you?
Yeah, perfect. So I'm reachable in 3 different ways. The first one is you can always find me on Facebook and send me a direct message. My handle is just my first and last name. So Hana, Hana, last name Dhanji, Dhanji. I've also got my website that's set to launch. And so that's www.healingbyhana.com. And the last one is, thank you. And the last one is, you can always reach me by email at Hana, Hana, at healingbyhana.com. And I'll respond to you right away to set up a strategy session so we can talk about how I can help.
That is awesome. I love the name you chose for your website. I'm just going to mention that my website has changed recently, and let's see whether it is in mirror writing or not. Yeah, that's mirror writing again.
Yeah, I can see it. Oh, you did really well with the mirror writing.
So it's changed to burnout.doc with a hyphen in between.com. And I have 3 free courses about, no, 4 free videos about burnout, and also a few other free courses there, plus my online course, which is called Total Life Reset, which has 6 modules. It's good for people who want to go, like, throw their life away and start all over again. I would love to work with people who just gone through divorce, for instance, who lost their job, who've lost their house, whatever, and they think like it's time for a reset. I like, especially midlife crisis kind of people. I love helping people see how good they can create the next step of their life, and they can just reinvent themselves if they want to, and keep their strengths and throw away their weaknesses. I mean, I just love empowering people. So yes, so I can be reached also on Facebook. You can also send me a direct message, but in any case, I will post this video on YouTube, share a link with you, and feel free to use it any way you like. And it was so nice meeting you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Me too. I appreciate you having me, and I look forward to participating in the summit down the road.
Yes, it's quite a big job to organize, but we're working on it.
Perfect. Thanks
Enjoy
again.
the rest of your day, and thank you so much for your time. Oh yes, if you leave me your address, I'll send you a copy of my memoir, My Surgeon Talks to Angels, and with a personal angel message. And I just wanted to mention my other best-selling book is Success Starts Today, which is also has holistic articles, which would work for people who are interested in personal growth and living their best life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good day.
You too.